I like that there are these pockets of Star Wars that kind of remain untouched and consistent across the board.
Yes.
That's sort of why I'm kind of happy we haven't tried to nail down anything about Yoda's past, about where he came from, who he is. I know that there is like extended lore in the expanded universe, but they haven't, so far Disney hasn't tried to, make anything canon as far as an origin for him or something like that.
As far as I remember, the expanded universe, it might give some glimpses, but I don't think anything is ever solidly defined.
Yeah, which I love.
Which I love that, and I think they should never do it at this point.
Same. I don't think they will. I think they understand.
I hope they understand that that's sacred enough for Star Wars that you can't touch it.
Well, so many people were pissed about Solo, so it's like, I think they learned, we don't do this to the big characters anymore. And Book of Boba Fett, where it's like, maybe we don't try to fill in these characters. Like, we just let them be what they are, because people don't seem to like this.
I'm all for filling in the characters, but my issue with stuff like Solo, and I love Solo, it's a great movie, it's a lot of fun, but and it's not just a Star Wars issue. Whenever you do we're going to fill in the backstory of a character, like I was actually talking to Mike, who I do the comic with, yesterday about Indiana Jones, and at the beginning of Last Crusade, you get like that 15-minute young Indiana Jones movie. But in that one day of Indiana Jones' life, he gets his nickname, his scar, his hat, and his whip. It's like, this guy's lived a lifetime. We don't need to do it all in 24 hours. Like,
no.
So when you do the Solo thing, you don't have to give him his last name that Imperial gives him, which is stupid. He gets his gun, he gets his belt, he gets his ship. It's like and Chewbacca, he meets Chewbacca. You don't have to identify everything about a guy and maybe do like one wink and just tell a story.
Yeah. And I think always people bring up, like in defense of Solo, they always bring up how Luke gets all of those things in A New Hope, like right away, and that sort of carries him through those important items, and friends are what stick with him through the rest of his films and even into the sequel trilogy. But at the same time, I still but there's no familiarity. Like, we get to discover those things with Luke. The meta-textuality of, we know the blaster, we know the dice, we know the Falcon, we know Chewie. That adds a bit of like jarring, storytelling.
It just seems
there.
too convenient when you have this legacy lore character built up with, and things like the dice. You don't need to define that, or the gun even. You don't need to define that, because I guess Luke does start his hero's journey and he meets these people, but it's also, that's not the end of his journey. There's Luke doesn't even keep that lightsaber all the way through.
No, yeah, which I think is maybe more of a product of the Disney era. This sort of Star Wars commodity fetishization, where it gives more weight to objects and things than are actually were ever there originally. It's the same with we talking about Indiana Jones, how you watch Raiders and he loses his hat by the end of the movie. He doesn't have the fedora on the boat at all. Well, he doesn't have that. He doesn't take it with him on the submarine. He leaves it on the boat. And so at the end of the movie, he's not wearing his normal hat. But it had become so iconic in 7 years that it's back by the end of it's back in Last Crusade. And then it's it's become so iconic for, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and onwards and stuff like that. But that first movie, it's just this is just an adventure story. We're not even thinking about, sequels and stuff. It's just this.
That's also something else that Hollywood in general needs to get back to. With DC, don't make the DC universe. Give us a good movie. And if people love it, give us another good movie. And then maybe you build something.
Yeah, I think people are, I think people are seeing through it. I think Solo was a big turning point where it's we don't need, not everything has to be important to this character. His blaster doesn't need to be important. His, not every bit of prop has to be called back. Every prop doesn't have to be called back to.
Yeah.
It doesn't all have to contain so much weight, which I think an episode like The Gathering, kind of points out what these props are there for, which is just to tell the story of the character and to be used in that way. That's what gives it weight, more than just calling back to it and just showing you something familiar. Letting the character interact with it and be a part of the story, that's what matters.
And also having it done with some subtlety, because I know I'm kind of contradicting myself, because before I said the lessons were really on the nose. The impatient guy learns patience, and the scared person learns to be calm, all this stuff. The morality things for the kids has to be a little bit more blunt. but there's also some more subtle things to it, like their lightsaber designs, and Gungi being kind of the most obvious, where the Wookiee picks a wooden hilt because that's from his home planet. That's what speaks to him. And that's one thing that does carry through, because we meet Gungi again going up into the Bad Batch, but it never feels like, oh, that's convenient that Gungi has a wooden lightsaber. Like, it just happens because it's naturally happening.
Yeah. Which I like that. And that's sort of, again, being able to make a new discovery with the characters who are making the new discovery is so much more rewarding than calling back to something that you have to have watched another movie or read another book or something like that to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With those book and comic and even video game tie-ins, which I want them to keep doing and I want them to be consistent, never make it a requirement. Never make it so that I have to now go and read all of Charles Soule Darth Vader, which I recommend everyone does. It's amazing. But don't make it a requirement. Don't make it a requirement that someone has to play Jedi Survivor to understand what's going on in The Gathering. I mean, I guess it would be the opposite, but because not everyone's going to play through an entire video game for a bit of lore. But maybe mention it and have it be consistent. And then if someone wants that continued adventure, they can go for it.
Yeah. No, that's what I think it should always be, is just, there's this like gatekeepy thing in artist like areas. I don't know if you've ever run into this, where people are like, well, if you like this person, you should really be looking at what they liked, and going back and looking at that stuff. And it's just an endless sort of like streamlined thing, but it is very much a like, I don't know. It is kind of, it's something that was told to me during portfolio reviews. Well, if you like this person, you should really be studying the people they were studying. And I just hate that like homework element of things. Like, don't tell me what to do. I'll find it on my own if I want to watch or read or something like that.
And that same advice, just framed a little different, could be great. It could be like, oh, you really like this. I think you'd also be really into this guy.
Exactly.
But don't be like, you're doing it wrong because you're not imitating everything he imitated. It's like, well, no, I'm not trying to be that guy. I just like that guy.
No, it sounds like homework in the end, more than it sounds like, if you enjoyed this story, here's another story you might enjoy as well.
Yeah.
Like
that's what it should be. Make it all accessible. Don't make it homework.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, I think, but also what I love about these episodes is that if you just sort of, these were your first Clone Wars episodes, you'd be good. Like, I don't think you'd lose. Like, you don't need to watch a whole season's worth of anything to understand what's happening in these, which is great.
Yeah, you could, I mean, not even the arc, but just the Gathering itself. You could sit someone down and have them watch it. And they're like, yeah, I know the story. I know what happened. I know what the goal was. I know what the stakes were, and we got out of it.
Yeah, well, they're like, and Clone Wars is full of a lot of really great stories like that. Even in like later seasons, you can just sort of hop on. That's why it's a great TV show, which not to, again, to complain about everything else going on right now. It's like, hey, remember when TV shows were TV shows and you could just watch an episode, and it's like, you wouldn't be totally lost because you weren't, keeping up with seasons of story and stuff, which is just
I think it strikes that nice balance where you can watch it all the way through and you learn it and you got the backstories and all that. Or if, especially when it was airing on TV, you could drop in, oh, I missed last week, I missed the week before, but I got 2 weeks in a row, I can watch it. Great, I got it. I got a story. Yeah. It's like the Stan Lee comic thing. Like, everyone's comic is someone's first comic. The one 20-page issue has to make sense fully, and if you want everything around it, it's there for you. If you're getting value or entertainment out of any of my transmissions, it would mean a lot if you would join the Remnant and subscribe. I also know it's like, it's one of those inflammatory Star Wars opinions because so many people online now grew up on the Clone Wars.
I guess that must be it, but also I just sort of like, I don't get it. It's like, this is, of all the hills to die on, Hondo, really? I don't know, man.
Yeah, he just sucks.
He sucks.
If anyone listening to this loves Hondo, I'm not even like mocking you. I want to hear your reasons why.
Well, I also, if you like the design of his ship too, explain why, because I hate the basic flying saucer thing as well. Like, I find that
I can't even really remember his ship. It was so generic.
Yeah, it's just a flying. It's actually, I think it's designed after the flying saucers at the end of Kingdom of Crystal Skull.
Oh,
and
that makes it worse.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm like, why you, again, maybe that was a George Lucas input, I don't know, but it's like, this is dumb. I don't like it. And I don't like flying. I also don't like there's a lot of things in Star Wars I don't like. When it becomes too like real world, like I don't like the mods in Book of Boba Fett. Mm-hmm. I agree with people who don't like Dex's Diner in Attack of the Clones. Even though that's a part of my childhood, so I'm kind of not as bothered by it.
Dex's Diner didn't bother me because it's like it is a planet that's a city.
Yeah.
People got to eat.
Yeah. But the one-to-one sort of thing that's just too on the nose and reminding you of either pop culture in our era or like in any era, that's too much. So it being a flying saucer is really gross to me. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I could see it. I mean, I even understand the people's arguments for like the diner was a little too like 50s throwback Americana kind of diner. I understand it. Me personally, that didn't bother me. But no, I agree with like the mods and the flying saucer. And the idea of the mods isn't even the worst thing because you are in this technologically advanced society. People probably would be enhancing themselves, but they just really felt shoved in for no reason. They didn't really add much.
And they also weren't modded out like you would hope they would be, like in a Star Wars thing.
No, the guy had like a cybernetic eye, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, like this isn't TNG. This is Star Wars, man. Do something
right.
cool.
Like what they did with Ferric.
Yeah, but also like
or Fennec. Sorry.
Yeah. But one thing, like the way to do it though, is Skeleton Crew, where you just are like, let's make the ships look, like Star Wars, but like piratey in a way, that kind of thing, and do like to a way where it feels more natural within the world and not too distracting from everything else going on.
But people did have a hard time with Skeleton Crew living in the suburbs,
right? Which I did too, but I think that show pays it off really well.
Yeah, I think because it was supposed to be an isolated, weird, out of the way thing, but we don't have to. I keep bringing us on rabbit holes away from the Clone Wars.